Okay, dear friends in Dhamma, we are going to start the first question and answer session. This Jhana Perth retreat. So we have received a couple of written questions and reports, and we will start with those questions.
Asana Bante, today is Tuesday, the 29th of April, 2025. This is the first question and answer session of meditation retreat conducted by most venerable Panadure Chandaratana Thero at Jhana Meditation Retreat Center, Serpentine, Western Australia. Today we have a total of 9 questions, 8 in English medium and 1 question in Sinhala. Bhante, I will present all the questions written in English first. There are 4 questions related to meditation practice and 4 questions on fundamentals. Question 1, Bhante, on my walking meditation, I couldn't concentrate and walk with my eyes partially closed looking down as I tend to walk off balance. With eyes open, I did manage to watch and feel the heel touching, taking of the weight on and shifting the weight over towards the toes, followed by lifting of my heel to continue the next step. Is it necessary to have the eyes partially closed during walking meditation? With method. End of question.
No, it is not a must. The thing is that typically we ask, okay, you just look around, kind of look little around, say 2 meters ahead, like 5 feet ahead. So that basically helps you to avoid any distractions, because if you look around, just look here and there, then that could be a distraction. That's why we are just asking you to look forward, actually maybe around 2 feet ahead. And actually the eyes are merely to guide you. It's not that where your eyes are focused. That is not the place that you are paying attention. Rather, the sensations are the ones most important. So while your eyes are merely doing a kind of guiding function, you are supposed to pay attention to the sensations happening at your toes. So maybe at your foot. So those are the things that typically we are expecting. But in case if you are trying to bend your head and look at your feet moving, that will be more difficult. That shouldn't be done, basically. So you need to walk in a more relaxed manner, and whatever the speed it is familiar to you, common to you, what is you are used to, and then keeping your eyes simply little ahead, looking forward, so that you are quite sure you reach the ends and the time you turn, something like that. That's a mere guidance that we are getting from the eyes, but the important thing is to pay attention to the sensations happening on your foot. So you are free to do like that. So it is not essential to keep your eyes closed. That's not the point. So rather you avoid distractions by maintaining kind of a look in the front. That's all. But that also doesn't mean that you can't see others moving, because now here we can see others are also walking. So that can be a distraction, but that you will slowly work out. So in walking meditation, it is not that we are trying to do a extremely, say, restricted kind of practice like we do in the sitting. Say no sounds, as much as possible we are keeping everybody silent and close our eyes, don't move the body, maintaining a fairly stable posture. So this is a kind of a way that we are trying to do in the sitting. But walking is more different. So you are supposed to move freely, walk freely in a more natural pace. And others also are doing the same thing. You can see the others, you can hear the sounds. All these things are there. But how you are, among all these different other activities, how are you successful in keeping your attention on the foot? So that is the technique. So therefore, have that kind of an attitude. So it's a more kind of a free practice. But the beauty is that you are developing that skill. So amidst all those different distractions, how well you are capable of keeping your attention where it is necessary.
Second question, Thero Salman. Dear Bhante, This is the very first time I'm involved in this type of program, but I have attended various daily programs of meditation in different temples in time to time. These instructions one-to-one are different. Please explain Anapanasati basics and how to continue with these basics to continue practice. Thank you. End of question.
Yeah, good. So basically the idea is to develop mindfulness, basically, and that could be the first stage, we can say. So in order to do that, we are trying to recognize some kind of an involuntary process happening within our body. So it is not a must to practice Anapanasati, but that may be the common type of practice. But once you pay attention to the body in general, there may be a possibility that you might understand, okay, the breathing happens, and accordingly the rising and falling of the abdomen happens, and the body, the posture, probably you can rise with some slight aches and pains. So these are the very much like your first findings once you are paying attention to the body. And you can use one of those as the primary object at the beginning. So as we did in the morning during the guided sitting session. So I'm not immediately asking you to pay attention to the breathing. So you can do a little bit of body scanning, going top to bottom to top, so that you are somewhat deep with your body, developing body awareness. And later, slowly, probably you can try to pay attention, keep attention on the nostril and recognize the breathing. But if you find it is difficult, you can pay attention at the abdomen and to recognize how the abdomen comes forward as you breathe in, how the abdomen comes back, returning back as you breathe out. So that would be another very good practice, fairly successful, and you can use that. If you are a beginner, you can use that, because later, once you develop certain amount of concentration, certain amount of mindfulness, if you really want, you can shift to Anapanasati. That is also not a must. And if you want to give some instructions on the Anapanasati, so the idea is you need to keep your body straight, have to have a kind of balanced posture and keep the head straight, because for Anapanasati we need this the respiratory duct, all these whatever the components has to be well aligned, so that you are not kind of obstructing the breathing cycle. So that's why we typically recommend the body posture has to be fairly balanced and fairly straight. And then also that doesn't mean that we are expecting you to have a very rigid kind of a posture. Make it a little straight, but giving some flexibility to do some minor adjustments on the way. It may happen by the body itself. So you need to give some provision for that. And then try to keep your attention at the nostril, and then allow the body to naturally breathe. Even though I say like this, it may be difficult. Allowing the body to naturally breathe is not something typically happen. Rather, you find controlling it. Rather, you find sort of unknowingly participating in the breathing process. Then you find, okay, it's difficult, Anapanasati, because I am trying to control. I want to make it longer. I want to make it shorter. Or so very much like unknowingly, we are trying to control the process, manipulate the process. And that is what the major issue in Anapanasati. Later only you will understand, okay, the body knows how to breathe. Even while sleeping, body knows how to breathe. So it is not iron breathing. Rather, the body knows how to maintain itself. So you are supposed to allow that. So you are not supposed to intervene, interfere the process. Rather, you need to step out, allow the body to naturally breathe. Then only you will find the proper balance. It's a kind of an art you are learning. How you are allowing the body to naturally breathe. You step out and recognizing each in breath, recognizing each out breath without interfering. So once you know the art, then you are almost past the exam. Because this is very difficult, because we are more kind of addicted, this kind of doing kind of a mentality. You want to do something, you want to interfere, you want to interact, you want to act immediately. But here, quite different. We allow the body to naturally breathe, we step out, And without any kind of our contribution, we allow the body to breathe naturally. So this long breath, shorter breath, all these are body's own changes. It's not that I am purposely making it short or long. Rather, allowing the body to do whatever it like. And you are simply accepting it. And you have the kind of openness. So you are quite open, whatever the breath transfer or shift to whatever the phases, you are ready to accept. And once you know that part, so then the Anapanasati is a really beautiful practice. So if you want more details, I can explain. But I think this is enough for the beginning. And later, depending on your experiences, we'll have further discussion. So whoever the yogi, please, if you want further clarification or even any other question, when we are talking of your question, feel free to raise your hand. We can, if you want, we can explain further. Otherwise, we are moving forward.
Third question, Bhante, we have a lengthy report.
Right.
Most respected Bhante, I worship Bhante and request permission to submit to few mindful experiences, please. Day-to-day mindfulness. Last few weeks, although I moved with a lot of people in different locations under the busy schedule, I tried to practice the advice of Ditte Mattam and Sute Mattam and managed to just be without doing any judgments. However, some occasions I got trapped and identified the unmindful incidents quickly. Accordingly, big shame on that and identify how eye-making and mind-making happen. Sometimes when closing my eyes, I feel that I'm in a dark place and my mind is coming to front of my face or eyes. Today only, for few seconds, I went to monastery meditation hall and I experienced the sound of silence and it was a very peaceful state. After that, I'm experiencing sound of silence very frequently. Most of the time, I was able to maintain a free mind while doing the walking meditation, and currently my attention is mainly going to watch the mind. Sometimes big interest comes to close my eyes, and when I allocate time for that, at the end of the walking path. At that time also, I feel my mind is in front of my face. My current understanding is when giving more attention to the mind, slowly can forget the body sensations too. Sitting meditation. Last few weeks, I was unable to practice the sitting meditation on daily basis. However, after the walking meditation, sometimes I enjoy deep darkness for a few minutes at the beginning of the sitting meditation, and at the time I was unable to clearly identify the boundaries of the body. But during the sitting meditation, still I am experiencing a few breathings as well as vibration of elements too. Duration of sitting meditation without any object is still dependent on the calm state of the mind, and my current understanding is continuous practice is the secret of the success. Dear Bhante,
can you repeat that last statement?
During of sitting meditation without any object is still dependent on the calm state of the mind, and my current understanding is continuous practice is the secret of success. Dear Bhante, sometimes I am getting a doubt whether I am moving to Samatha Bhavana side and again thinking to practice more about Dhamma Vijaya by observing the characteristics of the elements to move for the Vipassana side.
Yeah, one more. So you have a few more questions, right? More questions are there.
We are moving to the end of the report. Yeah. Humbly requesting Bhante's valuable advice, please.
Yeah. So basically, when we step into, actually, this is from a yogi who has practiced some extent, who has some experience in Vipassana. So actually, our Dhamma sermons are also based on how we are progressing towards this kind of result. So typically, we identify ourselves as a person, as an individual, but later in the practice, we are able to maintain a kind of mindset where the awareness is very much like pervaded and it is not established on any particular thing. So kind of an open awareness. So at the beginning, we don't have such, but we are trying to develop this kind of a focused attention. So different phenomena are there. We want to clearly see them. So we need a very clear, precise attention. So that is essential to our practice. But later, as we continue the practice, so the practice itself help us to free the mind. So now mind is not established on anything, rather it is quite open. But as I think it's yours, right? So as she mentioned, so it is not easy to come to that level immediately because that is not the way that the mind is much like conditioned. Our mind is typically conditioned to attach with things, holding things, grasping things, get stressed up with things, burdened by things, thinking about so many this and that. So this is the nature of the typical mind. So to abandon all those wrong habits, bad habits, and opening up, not grasping anything, is fairly dependent on our wisdom, what we are dealing through the Vipassana practice, and it is being supported by maybe the Samatha practice as well. But interesting thing is, as we are progressing in Vipassana, so this result, what we are talking, is unattached, unestablished, no grasping, quite open, is very similar to Samatha result. So it's very much like merging these two. Now we can't differentiate what is Samatha, what is Vipassana, and it is also not a must to differentiate the clear-cut line. Okay, this is exactly Samatha, this is exactly Vipassana. So we don't need to. Actually, these are quite helping each other, and therefore Samatha helps to practice Vipassana, Vipassana helps to practice Samatha, and they are very much like blending very beautifully as we are progressing. So you don't need to think, okay, now we are practicing Samatha, rather the support is coming with wisdom. So that wisdom is supporting to maintain a fairly clean, fairly pure type of a mindset. So that mindset is a result of Vipassana, result of Samatha, and therefore we don't need to label it as Samatha practice. We don't label it as Vipassana practice. It's a combination of both. Both are supporting each other, helping each other. And now, once you arrive there, it's a matter of maintaining that and to recognize various defilements is the other part. So how clearly I can see the defilements, as you mentioned, like eye making, mind making can happen. So those are the subtle defilements which are possible. Say you have done something nice, done something beneficial, maybe help someone, and appreciable thoughts might appear in the mind. So making a kind of influence to think, okay, there is a person, there is an individual, I am the one who did it. So likewise, that eye making, very subtle eye making can happen, very subtle mind making can happen. So those are the ones that we need to clearly recognize. And other than that, during the sitting, another possibility is that your mind can go to a deeper concentration. That is something now you need to balance. So it is not that we are now trying to go to a very deep absorption kind of a concentration. Rather, it's a kind of a Cheto Vimutti type of concentration. Now you are freeing the mind, opening the mind, very much like liberating the mind. No footing to the mind, no grasping to the mind. So that should be the kind of the attitude or direction we need to have. So in case while you are sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, at the beginning mind is appearing like quite doing well, opening no particular object, quite relaxed, but slowly it's going deeper, and ultimately stuck with something, then not balanced. So then actually we need to stop that process. because this is a very delicate balance at this stage we need to maintain. Otherwise, mind can go and like with something. It is not very solid kind of an object which is taking as the object. Rather, even the concentrated, very refined feeling, very refined perception also can be an object at this level. That's why maintaining a fairly surface level awareness is much beneficial than go to a deeper concentration at this level. So it's a very delicate balance you have to have. So it may take even some time to have a very relaxed attitude, calm, relaxed attitude, and to maintain the mind at a surface level, but still very, very pure. Idea is that you need a fair amount of support coming from concentration, fair amount of support coming from wisdom to maintain a quite open, pure type of a mind. But later, we are reducing the concentration and see what happens. Then the mind may come to the surface. We reduce the protection coming from the concentration, and then the defilements start attacking. Now we recognize the defilements and we are trying to abandon. More and more we are successful, then you are still maintaining the pure consciousness, very, say, effortless kind of an awareness at the surface level without deep concentration. So likewise, these are some subtle areas of the practice, Vipassana, I would say. And you may slowly have to master those things, and so it's a kind of a ongoing journey for all of us. Anything you want to contribute or you want to ask?
Actually, I listened to Bhante's Upavana Sutta.
Which is Upavana? The recent this way.
Then Bhante again and again explain about Dhammavichaya and improving the wisdom. That's why I got confused again.
Yeah. No, that Dhammavichaya doesn't mean that we are purposely, effortfully focusing on a phenomena and trying to analyze. But while maintaining this relaxed awareness, so what are the thoughts naturally appearing? Maybe. Mostly the thoughts. We are not purposely, manipulating the attention and putting to a particular object. Rather, naturally, while we are maintaining a very relaxed awareness, naturally there may be a thought happen. Naturally, there may be a memory happens, or a kind of planning happens. That is where we need to see whether we can recognize any subtle eye-making, mind-making is there. And it is not that I am purposely paying attention to a particular phenomena, like body pain or any such kind of tangible phenomena. Mostly Jhana. Yeah.
But my misunderstanding, I thought I have to go against the correct person.
No, not at all. We don't need to purposely pay back to the body. It's not necessary. Because here the now practice is still in the mind, mostly. Because we are now capable of keeping the mind away from the body. We don't need to we are not hooked up with the body now, but very much like barely released from the body, but still refinements are available. Time to time they may appear. So those are the ones still we need to work.
Okay, now I have another question. Sound of silence.
Sound of silence.
That is, last time also after coming to Australia, named troubled from that sound of silence.
Right.
I think this time also is coming.
Is it what kind of sound you are experiencing?
It's like right.
Then that is the one. Yeah. So let it be. So let it be, because if you start bothering about it, it becomes a really hindrance. So let it be. Assume like something there is in the background, and I have no control. You simply accept it. It's there. I have nothing to do.
I shouldn't pay attention.
Exactly. You should not pay attention. Let it be, and you are minding your own business with other activities. You may be looking at the mind and be dealing with other activities, but the sound of silence is still on the background. Slowly it will be abandoned naturally. It's not I am doing it, but it will slowly disappear. Did it happen like that?
Yeah, when I am alone and standing at the end of the walking path, most of the time it's coming.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, take it as a blessing because say the silence also has sound.
Yeah.
Very much like, I mean, it's not that we are in a completely vacuum type of thing. So as the bodily formations are fairly still the surround, it's not the surrounding. Our inner being may have some kind of a ongoing process. So that may be producing the kind of a effect. So I need to simply accept it.
Yeah, last days I studied about sound separately. Then I understood only some sort of energy is there, not anything other than that.
So that means you try to analyze the sound of silence, whatever that sound.
Sound of silence, all the sounds. I just understood
only energies.
Only energy.
Definitely.
Nothing is there.
Because the other thing is, now sound is another good object for Vipassana. Because you are quite sure it is coming and going, arising and passing away. But unlike the scenes, so scenes are very much like staying, like they are very much like solid or permanent, right? But for the sound to happen, they have to come and go, arising and passing. It's quite evident. So if you try to analyze, say pay attention to sound, you might be able to recognize this arising, passing, the changing nature of the sound.
Yeah, finally, I didn't get any understanding about the language or anything. Only sounds are coming and going, and only some sort of energy is there.
That's all. Yeah. Then nothing is there, basically. Yeah. So that's why even here, sound of silence also take like that. So you don't need to bother much about it. You continue the practice as you try to recognize the defilements and all that. That would be more progressive. Let it be this sound of silence. You don't need to interfere with it.
Can I study about that also in the previous way? Coming and going like
sound of silence, no need.
No
need. No need to pay attention to that. So let that be. It will naturally fade away by itself.
Much
okay. Yeah. That's it. She has a question over there.
Okay, is it okay if I ask a question or should I write it and put it in the box?
On the same subject, I am fine. Yeah.
When you explained the question, you said to come out of the concentration if you are going into a deep concentration. So that is very difficult to do. But the understood noise and
might have to even might have to do that because you know the point. Like say, so once you reach this open type of awareness, so it is contradicting with the absorption. So the absorption is more like you become that. Here you become nothing, no one. You are not anything. But here at the absorption level, you are something. Your mind has taken the color, the condition of some concentrated state. But here very much like it's a very pervaded awareness, not established anywhere.
But when you come to that level, from my experience,
right.
That you go into a deep, at least I go into a deep concentration.
Yeah, that we might have to purposely avoid that mistake. So there may be benefits of the deeper concentrations, I am not denying that. But once you reach this open awareness, unestablished kind of consciousness, and fairly very pure, unattached, very relaxed, effortless, mindful state, so that is something quite different. You have to go in a different way in that side. Very much like Arupa Jhana. If you really want to have a kind of analogy with the Jhana, very much like an Arupa Jhana, where the complete, full-fledged, pervaded awareness has to be there. Not you are focusing on to anything and very deeper absorption as such, but quite openness.
But in Vipassana, in the Vipassana concentration, is that right?
True. But here Vipassana concentrations are there. In the Vipassana concentrations, these are very much at the other stage, like say it's from the early stages of the Vipassana, rather we are very much like trying to open to the Vipassana. Say at the beginning, for example, in Vipassana, say you are practicing Vedananupasana. So different feelings are there. Now you purposely pay attention to those different feelings. And that is the focused attention we are talking. Because each and every feeling we have to precisely recognize how they are changing, arising, passing away. So that is where you are focusing on to a particular phenomenon. But here it is quite different. You have no phenomena at all. So that's why the mind is quite open. But in case any thought can happen, any idea might happen, any visuals can happen, any perception can happen. So those are the ones, they due to other causes, they naturally comes out. Not that you purposely pay attention. Rather they naturally arising, and you now probably, if you want, you can recognize them and see if there is any benefit you can get from them. You can learn from them to develop further wisdom. Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Fourth question, Bhante, we have another review report.
Right.
Walking meditation. I started walking by marking my steps left and right. I felt the feeling of spongy nature of the carpet beneath my feet. The pressure on my heels transferring through the arch of the sole towards big toe as I move forward. Contraction of the calf muscles and the tension over the ankle joint. Then I identify the rhythm of the steps and body movements which are repetitive and dynamic. The body as a whole is moving forward and I am maintaining my awareness as if I am observing as an outsider. While making a turn at the edge, I had to put an extra effort to maintain balance and mind tries to slip away and eventually distracted by thoughts. Overall experience is calm and peaceful. Sitting meditation.
So one antidote that you can do at this stage is that you are mentioning during the turning point your mind get distracted. It can happen. So one thing is rather than immediately turning back, you can probably, once you reach the end, just stand up. So without moving. So you were in the walking posture, you were walking, but once you reach the end, just stand up and just relax and just have if you want, you can do even the body scan. Now the body is not moving, body is quite stationary, still standing, and you pay attention from top to bottom and be fully aware of it. Establish mindfulness on the standing posture. And then slowly move back, turn back. And after turning back also don't immediately come back, rather again come to the standing posture. Again, if you want, you can do a body scan, again establish properly mindfulness, and now you can start coming back. So likewise, you can actually make use of this turning point slowly, and then you can include that part without being distracted.
Sitting meditation. Started meditation by focusing on breath. The wind touching the lip of nose is cold and dry. The out breath is warm and moisture hitting upper lip. The inhalation phase is lengthy and exhalation phase is short. After observing 3-4 cycles, mind started wandering. I opened my eyes. Everybody around me seemed to be deeply meditating. So I closed back my eyes and tried to focus. One reason of getting bored is the monotonous nature of breathing, and mind gets upset when it has nothing to do. Second reason is the breathing becomes delicate and undetectable. Mind needs thoughts. Without thoughts, it is like suffocating. Wanted to stand up and run away from the hall, searching in chase of external stimuli. End of question.
Good. So you are understanding about your monkey mind, the nature of the mind. So that is what we are used to. So we are used to feed the mind as much as possible, giving too much of social media, too much of other different activities. We are feeding the mind like a hell. Now very much like we are trying to do the opposite. So it is asking, is trying to become kind of rebellious. So I want this, I want that, I can't do this. please let me go out. I want to quit the retreat. So all these suggestions can come from your mind. So that is quite natural. So just understand that. So this is the type of mindset we are having. We are continuously, we were very much like feeding the mind with so much of unnecessary information in the way. Fairly harmful. So there is no any mental health sometimes we are maintaining. We may be concerned about our bodily health, not the mental health. Instead, what we do is fairly polluting the mind, torturing the mind, giving too much of unnecessary information. But now, the opposite we are trying to do. Calming down, relaxing, trying to purify, settling. If later, maybe purifying, cleansing, all these things are there. But it's a slow process. You have to have a lot of patience at this stage. So, but anyway, there is a certain success in your practice. So that's why you are able to understand this kind of habitual tendencies. You are able to properly understand. That's a good thing. Because otherwise you are simply a victim of these habitual tendencies. Now you at least know these kind of tendencies are operative into the mind. That's a good finding. But slowly work properly and then you may be able to have the proper results, a very balanced mind, a clear mind, tension-free mind, and all the results are possible. Have that confidence, have that trust, that faith on the practice, and then you can do it.
Fifth question. I think Bante, this is the shortest question of the session. What is Shraddha and use?
Shraddha. Okay. Shraddha, as you know, is the kind of faith we are talking here. Actually, the Sadha in Buddhism is quite different from I would say, from the other religious practices. Where mostly other religious practices, actually the Sadha sometimes is not verified. You need to admit it, you need to accept it, and you can't question it, and you can't realize it. But in the Buddhism, the Sadha, at the beginning we trust the Buddha, we have faith on the Buddha, and kind of a gratitude towards the Buddha. And now we start learning about his teaching because we have some faith on him, and now we want to know what he has preached. Now we are trying to learn what he's talking, what he's preaching. But the interesting thing is, what he's talking, what he's preaching is verifiable. So that's what we are trying to do now. So we have learned about it, we have heard about it, but we want to really do our own experiment and see how true it is. So therefore, as you gain the wisdom through the Vipassana practice, then only you get the proper Sadha. At the beginning, it's very much like you are accepting it. Say, for example, I give a kind of simile. Say you get a kind of a disease. Assume that you have a heart disease. And you are suffering from that, and people are telling you about a particular doctor, maybe a cardiologist, and they are recommending him and giving a lot of recommendations, and you also slowly build up some kind of faith on him. And now you approach him, that particular cardiologist. And now you are telling your own symptoms, and he also do proper analysis. And now you come back and he's asking you to do some tests. Maybe you go through all those tests and you submit these results. And now he's giving some more instructions. Now, why you approach that particular person is based on the sattva, based on the faith. Still, your disease is not yet cured. Still, you are suffering from the disease, but you have some faith on the doctor. That's why you are again and again meeting him and again taking the medicine from him and following his instructions, all because you have the faith. But later, slowly you feel that you are recovered. As you continue, you start feeling that you are recovered. Then only you are very much like the solid faith of the doctor. Because yes, other recommendations are true, it's working for me as well. He is the true doctor. He is giving proper instructions. It's working for me, I am recovering. What he suggested, what his methods, his prescriptions, all strategies are really working for me. Yes, he's a good doctor. He has recognized my disease. He has given proper medication. Everything is fine. Then you fully recover. Same thing applied to the Buddhist practice. So at first, very much like you are, very much like under the faith. Based on faith, you understand things, learn things, but still on the superficial level. You haven't realized things. But the practice slowly helps you to realize things. So once you realize, it's not immediately everything you realize, but slowly as you are realizing this and that, then you understand, okay, to this level I am understood. So he has mentioned something like this, yes, now I am experiencing that. He has mentioned like this, okay, now I am able to experience like this. So likewise, you understand your own experience and the Buddha's teaching is going fairly in life. Then the faith is grown. Then the faith becomes more solid. More, very much like you are, it's a kind of conviction now. So later, you have the proper faith, you have the proper, say, experiential knowledge, which is quite tally with what Buddha has mentioned. Now no one can change the understanding, the challenge what you understand, because you yourself know, you yourself have realized it. Then only we can say you are a sacred. That unwavering kind of a faith is there within you. It's not that you superficially accept, rather you yourself have the fairly concrete results. Based on that, now you trust the Buddha. Now you don't need to go here and there looking around this person, that person, because now you are quite sure he's the teacher, he's the guidance, he's the fully enlightened person.
Sixth question, Bhante. If all of the mankind thought and act as present moment rather than the future / development or dreams of betterment / research, it would not be in accordance with our core principles. Please explain method. End of question.
So we are not asking you to do that. We are not asking you to say restrict your vision or your perception only to the present moment. Rather, if you want to plan, you are welcome to do, but be mindful. That's the main thing. So you can refer the very beautiful sutta called Vitakka Sankhara Sutta. So you have the full capacity to monitor your mind, basically. So whenever you want to think, whenever you want to refer the past, or whenever you want to do some future plan, you can do that. Because if it is successful, if it is beneficial, you can do that. But under your supervision. It is not that mind acting impulsively without your control. No. Now you know the purpose, you know the value, you know the design, you know the maybe the futuristic planning, the event, the benefits, you know. Under your supervision, now mind is doing. Now suppose you would delete, you are fully aware and mind is doing it, and now you come to a conclusion, okay, this is what I need to do. You come to a decision. Now you should be able to make yourself silent. Now you stop thinking. It is not that the mind is driving you, rather you are using mind as a faculty. So mind is operating under your supervision. So very beautifully Buddha mentioning, say, yang vitakkam aham kissati, tang vitakkam vitakkis. Na yang vitakkam aham kissati, na tang vitakkam vitakkis. Whenever you want to think, you can think. Whenever you don't want to think, you are not thinking. So the thinking is a kind of skill happening under your supervision. Now, when you want to think, you can think. When you don't want to think, you don't want to think. Mind is completely silent. So this is the kind of target. It's not that we are not promoting any kind of a unconscious, non-thinking, extremist kind of a view. No. What we are suggesting is, okay, you are free to think, not driven by the passions, not driven by various, impulses. Rather, okay, this is something beneficial. Okay, I want to think. I'm planning. I'm going somewhere. Okay, you are free to plan. But later you are able to stop yourself as well, and you are in kind of enjoying the silence. This kind of a property, this kind of a skill is what we are after. Then what happened to the defilement, for example? Assume that there is a defilement operating in your mind, asking you to think. Then you are able to stop it because you know it is not beneficial. So, and you can actually even prefer Sambhasa Sutta, where Buddha is talking about the Yoga. You know what exactly is beneficial to think, then you are thinking on that. You know what is not beneficial, and you are not thinking on that. Very much like the thinking is a kind of tool, kind of a skill. We all as human beings are sharing. But the problem is that we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to control it, or we don't know how to get the benefit from it. Rather, our thinking is based on very selfish, fairly desire-driven kind of motives. But now, with the practice, we are changing that process. Now we know, okay, this is what we need to do. Okay, this is beneficial. Okay, now I'm thinking. And when it is not necessary, okay, again, calm down, relax, stop thinking. Very silent. Very silent. Yeah.
Seventh question. Most Venerable Bhante, if we are not the consciousness, what and how do we refer to the thing that moves from one bird to another? How do we refer to the being that's air to come? Thank you.
That air to come.
Yeah, H-E-I-R.
Air to come. Actually, it's a different question, a difficult question also. So, accepting or telling that consciousness is the self is one type of teaching, even prevailed in the pre-Buddhist era maybe, and even during the Buddha's time. And one monk even has taken that side, and Brasati explained in the Mahatantra Sankhya Sutta. So one venerable was thinking, okay, the consciousness is the one kind of ongoing as a eternal consciousness. Consciousness is the kind of soul. But Buddha denied that. So Buddha didn't accept consciousness as something eternal. This what we so-called is the recognizing consciousness, recognizing something as, say for example, I'm showing you this. So this say cell phone, a smartphone. So you recognize this as a smartphone. So this recognizing this as a smartphone is actually a conditioned consciousness. And this process, the conditioned consciousness is involved. So likewise, all the such kind of consciousness is fairly conditioned by the ignorance. So when I'm showing you to recognize this as a smartphone, so you are using it based on the conventional terminology. And a certain kind of avidya, certain kind of ignorance is also there. So we are typically being driven by the conventional type of terminologies. But you can use that, but at the same time, if you have a kind of understanding, there is no such thing called smartphone. It's a combination of so many little components assembled together so that it is functioning, doing some kind of an activity. Then we can call it, we can name it as a smartphone. So that is what it is there. There is no something intrinsically available as a smartphone. So if you have such kind of a deep understanding, then later, when I am showing this, probably you are not even pointing your attention and you don't want to even establish your attention. You don't want to attach to it. You don't want to have any desire to it. And you can have a kind of free mind even when the smartphones are there. A different kind of a skill needs to develop in order to have that kind of an understanding. So there, we are not talking as a conditioned consciousness, we are talking as a kind of unconditioned, or we can say unmanifested kind of consciousness. We'll discuss these things maybe later during our sermon and maybe at our later stages of the retreat. It's too early to discuss these things. And anyway, it's a very beautiful question as well as a very deeper question. We'll see how we can answer with the speaking.
Eighth question, but we have a sensitive question. Dear Venerable Bhante, please explain how to practice forgiveness to a person, within bracket husband, who has tarnished my reputation by untrue accusations which are totally musawada. In actual fact, these were encrypted from his jealousy, pride, and venomous fraud against me. I would appreciate the method to forgive such a sinner. Thero with
Actually, this again, now these are things. Now, sometimes we have kind of prejudices about one person, and we want the other person to behave the way I want, and I am very much like possessive. I want him to behave the way I want. So this kind of prejudices is kind of a frame type of thinking is there within us. So because he is my husband, because she is my wife, she is my wife because others can't behave according to me, but my wife should behave according to my wishes. He is my husband, he should behave according to my wishes because he is my husband. So we have this training, we have this possessive kind of attachment, and more like we expect other person to behave the way I want. Can you do that? Can you expect your body to behave the way you want? Now you say you are saying, okay, this is my body. So since this is my body, I am expecting my body to behave the way I want. But all of a sudden, see that you get a cancer. Okay, did you expect it? Now did you really want it? No, you didn't want it. You didn't like it. But the body has gone through that stage, but later you need to accept it. So this is the nature. The body is beyond my control. It is undergoing various other conditions, various other causes, which is influencing the behavior of the body. So I have no much control over it. So if we have no control over our mind, our own mind, you say it own, and our own body, then how are we expecting another person's behavior, another person's body, another person's behavior? How are we going to have that kind of expectation? That's also we can understand, okay, he has his own conditions, he has his own defilements operating. It's very difficult for us to expect the other person to behave the way we wish. That's right. We can't expect. We are unable to control our own mind. We are unable to control our own body. And how are we expecting the other person to do the same? That kind of a thing. It's impossible. Therefore, the people are changing. Good people become bad people become good people. So have a kind of openness. Give some spaciousness in your mind. Some forgiveness. Okay, this person also can change. This is not something he was having, say, when you were in love with him. This person is a good person, isn't it? So that's why you married him. You selected him. You had an affair. And maybe he was there with you during the troubles. But now, probably he might have abandoned you and he might have tarnished your reputation. Everything has happened. Again, but it can change to the other side. He probably might understand his mistakes. He may come and ask him your apology. And you also may be able to forgive him. You understand, okay, these are very vulnerable situations we are playing with. And things are beyond our control. Expecting everything has to happen according to my wishes, impossible to implement. This is a kind of a very bitter truth we need to accept. That's what we are trying to understand even through the Dhamma. That's what this teaching is telling. So how impermanent these things are, how transient these things are, how uncertain these circumstances are. So once we know that, okay, I'm ready to deal with it. Even though it's very hard, okay, we accept it, understand it, and again forgive. Okay, maybe later he'll understand it's not my fault. He might understand, okay, he has done a mistake. Let him sort of slowly understand. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to take the revenge. So this way I feel more better, more Dhamma way of going through the situation.
Pante, this is the last question in Sinhala. Garu Swami Mahansa. සක්මන් භාවනාවේදී පය පොළවේ වැදීමට ආනාපානසති භාවනාවේදී හුස්මට සිත පිටවීමට උත්සාහ ගනිමි. අපහසුයෙන් එහිම සිත පිටුවාගත් පසු දැඩි ඒකාකාරී බවක් දැනී නැවත සිත විසිරී යයි. නැවතත් එසේම විය. මේ විදර්ශනා භාවනාව දක්වා යාමට කෙසේ ගලපා ගන්නද? මා භාවනාවට ආධුනිකයෙකි. End of question.
Yeah. නෑ ඔක සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක්. අපිට එකපාරටම විදර්ශනාවට යන්න බෑ. අපිට ඒ විදර්ශනාවට උදා කරන යම් කුසලතා ටිකක් දියුණු කරගන්න තියෙනවානේ. අන්න ඒ කුසලතා ටික තමයි දැන් අපි මේ මුලින්ම දියුණු කරගන්න හදන්නේ. අපිට අවශ්‍යයි ටිකක් මනස සංසුන් කරගන්න, මනසේ ඒකට මෙතන දුවන ගතිය අඩු කරගන්න, ඊළඟට පරණ මතකයන් ඔස්සේ දුවන ගතිය අඩු කරගන්න, අනාගත සිහින ඔස්සේ සැලසුම් ඔස්සේ යන ගතිය අඩු කරගන්න, පොඩ්ඩක් මේ වර්තමාන මොහොත ඇසුරු කරගන්න. අන්න එහෙම මනසක් අපිට හදාගන්න අවශ්‍යයි. ඊට පස්සේ මනස ටිකක් එකඟ කරගන්න. අරමුණකට අවධානය යොමු කරාම අරමුණේ වෙනස් වී දකින්න තරම් යම් කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් ඒ අරමුණ නිරීක්ෂණය කරමින් අපේ මනසට පවතින අවශ්‍යයි. නැත්තම් මේ අරමුණේ සම්පූර්ණ වෙනස්කම් ටික අපලන්න හැකියාවක් නැහැ. හිතන්න අපි වේදනාව දිහා බලන්නේ. ඒ වේදනාව දිහා අපරය බලන්න ආයෙ හිත යනවා මොකද? ඒ ඇසිත මේ වේදනාව වෙනස් කරලා අපි කොහොමද වේදනාව යථාර්ථය අඳුරගන්නේ? ඒ නිසා අපිට මනසේ එකඟතාවයක් සමාධියක් අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි. ඒ සමාධිය උපදව ගන්න. සමාධිය අපි හදා ගන්න. ඒකත් එකපාරට එන්නේ නෑ. අපි සතිමත් බව මත පදනම් වෙලා තමයි සමාධිය තුනේ. සතිය දිනුනේ එනකොට පොඩ සමාධි ලක්ෂණ ඒක ගොනු වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මොකදී අපිට එච්චරම මේ නෑ ගැළපීමක් තේරෙන්නේ නෑ. මේක කොහොමද විපස්සනාවට ප්‍රයෝජනවත් වෙන්නේ. හරි අමාරුයි තේරුම් ගන්න. අනිත් එක අපිට කරන්න තියෙන ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක හරි සරල දෙයක්. නැවත මේ ආශ්වාසය ප්‍රශ්වාසයට අවධානය. නැවත කය සම්බන්ධ කර දැනෙන දැනීමට අවධානය යොමු කරගෙන ඉන්නවා. එතනට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මේකේ ලොකු සම්බන්ධයක්. මේ ඒ නිසා හරි අමාරුයි කෙනෙක්ට උගන්වන්න, කන්වින්ස් කරන්න මේක කරන්න. පස්සේ ඔකේ ප්‍රයෝජනය ආන වැඩේ කියලා හරි අමාරුයි මේක කන්වින්ස් කරන්න. නමුත් තමන්ට පොඩ්ඩ තේරෙනවා අර හිතේ දුවන ප්‍රපංච අඩුවීම. හිත දැන් අපේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපේ හිත අතෝරන්නති කතාවකින් දොඩවල වේලකින් මේ ඔක්කොම අඩු වෙනවා. එහෙම එකක් එක්ක අපිට විපස්සනා කරන්න හරි අමාරුයි. ඒ නිසා මේ මනසේ දොඩවල භාවය, ප්‍රපංච ගෙතීම, කරවලය ඔක්කොම අඩු කරගන්න නැවතනම අපි මේ ආශ්වාසය කරා. නැවතනම මේ පාදයේ ස්පර්ශය කරා. මේ වගේ උපක්‍රමශීලීව අර අපේ තියෙන වැරදි ඇත්තයි කඩ යන මේ අපේ හිතේ පරිම ඇබ්බැහි වල මේ ගොදුරක් බලවත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ගොදුරු වීම අපි වළක්වනවා. ඒකට සෑහෙන පුහුණුවක් අවශ්‍යයි. නිකන් පොතක් කියනවානේ මේ ඇබ්බැහි ඉන්නේ නැහැ අපේ හිත. පොතක් වනහම ගමනේ ඕක ඇබ්බැහි හිත එළියට ගන්න බෑ. මේක නැවත 100,000 වාරේ කර මේක පුහුණුවක් වශයෙන් ප්‍රායෝගිකව මේ කරන්න සිද්ධ. ඒකයි වැඩේ අමාරු. ඒකයි අපි මේ දවස් ගණන් බලනා කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් අපි පොතක් බලලා වැඩේ කරන්නේ. එහෙම සාර්ථක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේක සෑහෙන අපිට කැපවීමක් අවශ්‍යයි, පුහුණුවක් අවශ්‍යයි, නැවත නැවත යෙදීමක් අවශ්‍යයි. එතකොට තමයි වෙන්නේ දැන් පොඩ්ඩක් එයා කියන දේ අහන්න. දැන් මට පියවර 10ක් සිහිය කැඩෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මට හුස්ම රැලි 20ක අවධානය පවත්වන්න පුළුවන්. අර පරණ හැබිට් එක, ඒ පරණ පුරුදු දැන් පොඩ්ඩක් දුර්වල වෙනවා. ඒ පුරුද්දෙන් මුදවගෙන මට දැන් පුළුවන් යම්කිසි ශාන්තික තැනක හිතියාගන්න, පහසු තැනක හිතියාගන්න. නික්ලේශී තරමින් තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක අන්න පොඩ තමයි. ඒ නිසා මේක පුහුණුවක් තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා කරගෙන යන්න පොඩ තමයි ආශංස වැඩෙවි. හිතේ සහනයක්, හිතේ සැහැල්ලුවක්, එක්තාවයක් දැනෙවි. කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. එච්චරයි. Okay, those are the questions we have received. Then if you have any question, you can raise your hand. You can spend a few more minutes. Otherwise, we can write a decision. Yeah.
My question is, try to understand the differentiation of practice between Vipassana and Samatha. So when I became a Buddhist initially, I was just doing my own thing and I had some results.
You have
I did have some results.
Uh-huh.
And then I got Vanaya,
One thing.
a lot of fear about the dissolution. And so I stopped meditating.
Uh-huh.
And now I've commenced Samadhi practice.
Samadhi practice.
Offered in Samadhi.
Can you repeat?
That's what's offered in Perth.
Uh-huh.
The temple I go to.
Right.
So my question is, I thought you can do both to go towards
Vibha.
yeah.
Yeah, both are necessary. Both are necessary. So actually both are essential in a way. So what is the kind of level of concentration you are having right now?
Is it alright to share?
Sure. Yeah.
So I did what's called beautiful breath within a few minutes.
Right.
And then I get a light. And sometimes I get the nitha, but I say to the nitha, go away. I don't want you.
Uh-huh.
I'm sort of not welcoming it.
No, you are not accepting it. I mean, without paying attention to the nitha, now where are you paying attention?
So the nitha is not strong. It's just what you like here and there.
Right. Okay, fine.
Just even normal day, I can see it here and there.
Right.
It's not necessarily meditation.
Right.
Sometimes it brings me joy, but in meditation, I'm fearful of it.
Okay. Actually, you don't need to be fearful about it. So it's a sign of concentration. It indicates that you have developed certain amount of concentration. It's a good sign in a way. Indicating you, okay, certain amount of concentration is now being developed. So take it as a positive sign. But since you said it's not yet stable, you don't need to look at it. Just pay attention to breathing. So breathing can become more and more subtler and subtler. Are you coming to reaching to a stage like almost like disappear? Yes. Okay. So after that, what do you do?
I practice at the beginning without knowing Buddhism. To leave the body.
Leave the body.
Yeah. First, pay attention to the body. It's painful. So I leave, but I can still hear what it's happening.
Right. So currently also are you able to completely let go of the body?
At times, yes.
Because through Anapana, through this mindful breathing, you can come to that level. Say your primary attention is only on breathing. So you are not paying attention to the whole body. Now later, almost the body has disappeared except the breathing. Now the breathing also becomes subtler and subtler. Now ultimately even breathing disappears. Now you can slowly pay attention to the mind. And don't try to kind of withdraw forcefully from the body. Just leave the kind of the surface level. But in a relaxed way, look at the mind. Are you able to do that?
No, I'm not too sure. I haven't analyzed it.
Okay. So now basically the idea is, now probably you can read Anapanasati Sutta by the Buddha in available in Majjhima Nikaya. I can refer to the text if you want. So the idea is, so first we are using the breathing to establish mindfulness, to calm down, relax, and again have some inquiry nature build up in the mind. Say you are recognizing whether in-breath is longer, whether it is shorter, where is it touching, or whether it's cool or warm, from which nostril is going in, from which nostril is going out. Now these are like you are inserting or developing certain skills to the mind. Not only the mindfulness, now you have certain concentration. Not only that, now you have the ability to inquire, investigate. Breathing is a very subtle process. Now you are investigating this subtle process. Like whether the in-breath is longer or shorter compared to the previous. When you recognize the breathing, from which nostril the in-breath is going in, from which nostril the out-breath is coming out. Compared to in-breath and out-breath, which one is more cooler, which one is more warmer. Now these are subtle characteristics, you understand, right? These are some subtle characteristics. So you can recognize these subtle characteristics not by mere mindfulness or concentration, by developing certain yonso-manasika, developing certain kind of inquiry nature, investigative quality to the mind. And we are developing these skills. And once these skills are available, then you are able to look at the mind. Then you are slowly going to the mind, okay? So, and that observation also has to be very relaxed. You are not strictly, strenuously maintaining the mind, rather you allow it to think if it is necessary, very much like giving the freedom to children to play, something like that. Say you as a parent, say you take your children to the playground and ask them to play, something like that. Because you are observing, you have the capacity to observe, you are not being driven by the thoughts, so you can simply observe, something like that. Now you are coming to that stage. So once the breath has disappeared, you allow the mind to play, but you step out and see the thoughts. Merely thoughts as merely thoughts. Hope you understood the point. So allow the mind to think, but thoughts are coming and changing, that's also going. Another thought coming, another one going. Another one coming and going, coming and going. So you understand this kind of changing nature of the mind, changing nature of the phenomena, changing the nature of bodily phenomena, mental phenomena. So that also developing the wisdom. So very much like we are observing, we are very much like investigating various phenomena. Either bodily phenomena, either mental phenomena, we are investigating the phenomena, their nature. So that is combination of samatha and vipassana. You can't do very precise investigation unless you have fairly good concentration, right? So once you have all that, now you are developing wisdom based on your own evidence, isn't it? So this is what now you can do. So don't go to extreme concentration, rather maintain a very relaxed mind. If necessary, allow the mind to think, but you are out of the thinking. You are not the thinking, you are not the thoughts, but you are able to understand how thoughts are maybe originating. And maybe later you can understand how they are behaving, how they are arising, how they are changing, probably how you are liking them, and you are trying to contribute, you are trying to fabricate, you are trying to participate, and all that you understand. It's your own kind of, say, participation is the one making things much worse. But if you are able to step out and allowing thoughts to really come and go, then you are fairly safe. Again, you understand, okay, they are not me. Thoughts are not myself. And thoughts are merely thoughts. So likewise, various different ways you get various insights. So those are much beneficial in your practice.
Is it okay to say one more thing?
Sure.
So the fear comes from experiences of seeing the three lakna by investigation.
You mean impermanent suffering concept?
And I didn't know what it was. Nobody could explain it to me.
So, I mean, based on what are you seeing the impermanence? What are the phenomena?
Dissolution. Moment by moment.
Moment by moment dissolution of what are the phenomena? Mental phenomena?
I'm not meditating, I'm just going to a letterbox and the whole world is just finishing. I can't pay attention.
Okay, understood.
The after meditation that I had
feeling,
the dissolution and similarly the suffering.
Sorry?
The suffering also came a couple of days later.
Please keep the mic.
Sorry. The suffering came like on your skin, in your ear, and it's a mode that you can't get out.
So that might be the symptoms of the type of fear even. So the point is, now Buddha is talking about the dependent origination, probably might have heard. It's not a self, it's not a person, rather this a kind of conditionality working on. Certain causes are there, certain conditions are there, then the things are manifesting. So we need to come to that level. Then you lose the fear. Because right now what happens is you have a strong self and this person is here. But unfortunately now this person is disintegrating. Everything is destroying and you feel frightened.
Yes, I saw a skeleton when I went to meditate.
Right.
And I didn't know what it was. My mom explained.
Right.
Nobody I asked.
Right.
Told me what was happening.
Right. So for the time being, I don't go for the visualization. So because of your concentration, various visualizations can happen, but don't buy them. Don't go with the visualizations. But understanding that things are coming and going is not a bad thing. It's something very good. But the problem is you are lacking with understanding about the conditionality. So thinking that there is a person, there is a being, there is a self, that self being pregnant, then you feel frightened. But the another side of the Buddha's teaching is that there is no self. Things are continuously changing and there is no intrinsic core. And things are happening due to causes and conditions. So I need to teach you more, theory a little bit, so that you are convinced to some extent about these things. Then you can accept it. You can surrender. Okay, there is no person to die. There is no individual, no self to be destroyed. So I can allow things to happen naturally. I am free, something like that. So that kind of little attitude can inculcate in your mind, and that will be helpful for you to go through the practice. Currently, that strong ego, strong self appearing in your head is really kind of intercepting the process. Yeah. We will have a chat maybe. Okay, I think the first day I think enough today. We have spent almost 1 hour and 15 minutes. And we'll see you again during the Dhamma sermon.